Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday morning, partway through July. Um, our year is half over, and we are on the summer months of everyone pitching in and helping out Dr. Dave. So thank you for joining. And I wanted to kind of talk about those it actually kind of worked out that it's a kind of a connection between what Robbie talked about 2 weeks ago in his talk, developing your recovery community, what Kevin talked about last week in drawing the line, and it's two words, foundations and consistent, or you can add consistency to that. And where those, you'll see kind of where these connections lie in what we do, and where it all kind of starts is can be starting where in the starting of your day, the starting of recovery work, the starting in your walk in faith, your continued walk in faith. It can it kind of bleeds into multiple different areas, but the connection is with Robbie's and with Kevin's, but along with even just the foundational pieces that Dr. Dave talks about is that personal relationship with Jesus Christ. And how does that connect with our recovery? How does that connect in our day? And just in just that having faith, those words of having faith. Now I know I can't see everybody, and I know that we're muted, but how many of you would like to try to have more time, more to do some work in your faith, in your walk in faith, in your recovery? You just fill in the blank with what that might look like. How many of you can spare 2 hours a week? How many of you can spare 9 hours a month? And how many of you could spare 110 hours in a year? What this is just kind of reverse engineering. It is goal setting for those of you that are in work modes, depending on what your work is, have been in work modes in the second half of your life, maybe not work modes anymore. But we all have goals we kind of set out for ourselves. I want to read the Bible more. I want to dig into my recovery more. I want to dig into some of the work Dave needs me to do. That list continues to go on and on and on. But where can we find 2 hours in a week, or 9 hours in a month, or 110 hours in a year? Well, it's going backwards. It's as I said, connection to goals. It is bringing yourself back to that age-old question of how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time. And those 2 hours, if you reverse engineer it and go backwards in time, those 2 hours equal out to be about 126 minutes over 7 days. And you break that down one more time, it comes down to 18 minutes. And it comes down to, what would it be if you could actually say to yourself, to build a foundation, to be consistent, that you take 18 minutes, no devices, or no distractions, and you take 18 minutes and grab your Bible and you read for 18 minutes. You open your heart for 18 minutes. You do that consistently over 7 days. That equals 2 hours. Now, 2 hours, most of us in the last, if you want to even think about it, in the last week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, you've spent 2 hours watching a movie, watching a sports event. For those of you that are on social media, you have spent 2 hours scrolling through something, whatever that might be. For those of us in the work mode, you've taken 2 hours out of your family life and done something for work for 2 hours. But if you break that down into that 18-minute piece, and that 2 hours, that 9 hours, and that 110 hours, comes down to working 18 minutes over those 7 days is 2 hours worth of time in the Bible. Over a month, taking July, for example, that's close to 9 hours. What would happen if you took the commitment to be consistent for an entire month? And then you compound that into truly getting a habit to stick and be disciplined in something. Do that for 2 months, so 60 plus days. And you compound that through an entire year, that's 110 hours of just focused devotional time and building that relationship with Jesus Christ and building those firm foundations. In Colossians 3, 1 and 2, paraphrasing and describing some pieces of it, set your hearts on the things where? Above. Set your minds on things where? Above. When we build those foundations, it helps us to, in our growth, it helps us in our daily walk, it helps us in our recovery, and it just helps ground us. It helps us in not acting in some of the ways that we do. And if you have a pen and paper in front of you, I'd like you to just write down these letters. It's easiest when you write them in all caps. So the letters are A, C, T, A, S, I, F. Now, when you look at those words, or you look at those letters, thinking, well, what's that acronym stand for? Some of you might pick it up right away. But what it is if you crush them together and you had written them right beside each other, it's act as if. Act as if you do have those 2 hours a week to spend. Act as if you do have those 9 hours a month to spend. Act as if you do have those 110 hours in a year to spend with Jesus, building that firm foundation, being consistent, and being able to have the faith and the confidence to build yourself up, and taking that time, because 18 minutes actually isn't that long when you really think about it. Some of our talks in the mornings, Dr. Dave's talks, are all of us that are doing these extra help out throughout the summer talks. Most of them are going to be within the 18-minute time frame. Some of us might already be doing this. Some of us might already be able to have that time and spend that time. And some of us, we use those words, I just don't have the time for it right now, or I don't have the time for it today. But really, set that alarm for 18 minutes early. And over time, you'll find that those 18 minutes go by quick, and you're going to want more. Some days, it's going to be hard to find those 18 minutes. You might have to break it up into 5 minutes, 6 minute, 10-minute chunks. But act as if you really want to build that firm foundation. You really want to build those consistent steps, taken from Hebrews. Faith is confidence in what we hope, for assurance in what we do not see. I know that these words are interesting for myself as I randomly chose a date to have this talk and put time and thought into it. Wrote down all of my thoughts in true Eric fashion last night, putting this together, and the connecting pieces and seeing the connection with Robbie's part about developing recovery and community, because his first thing is having that relationship with Jesus, drawing that line, connecting there is drawing that line with. We have lots of lines we drew in our recovery journey, depending on what day, month, year you're in that recovery. That line adjusts. That line gets deeper. That line forms roots, and taking that line to take the time to continually build that foundation, because that foundation is consistent. Every year for quite a few years, I've been at the beginning of the year or towards the end of the year and into the beginning of the year, I put thought and energy into what are some words I'm going to use throughout the year. Now, I can tell you I'm not consistent in writing these words down or looking at these words or finding connection with these words every single day, but these words have a ton of meaning for me. And in my recovery, in my coming clean, in my journey in all of this, it started back in 2019. And as I go through every year and give you those words, I can read these words and I know exactly where I was, but these words have meaning. In 2019, it was daily bread and surrender, my beginning walk in faith, in my true faith, and actually for the first true time accepting Jesus into my heart, needing that daily bread, needing to surrender. In 2020, in the thick of things, it was patience and trust. In 2021, it was gratitude and joy. In 2021, it was gratitude and joy. In 2022, it was perspective and discipline. And in 2023, over 7 months ago, I wrote the words foundation and consistent, not knowing that it would lead to July 18th talking about it, not knowing that it would lead to a talk about 18 minutes in digging into my faith, but those foundations, those underlying, the underlying basis, the establishment of a permanent base, some introduction to what foundations is, consistent, acting in the same way, being unchanged. I never knew it would lead to this, and that's that being able to walk in that faith and being able to walk in where we're at. A few months ago, I decided I really wanted to dig into my faith and set that firm foundation. And I picked Colossians, and I've been for 2 months rereading Colossians, reading a chapter and then reading the in my study Bible, all the study notes, and then also reading Colossians on a Bible app with multiple different versions of the Bible readings to really get and dig deep into my faith. And I'm going to continue doing that as I continue moving forward in truly using this 18-minute routine and really working on that piece, because in my reading through Colossians and some of in the study notes, it talks about grounding yourself in his word, pressing towards wisdom, praying for understanding, because God has given us minds for learning. So don't stop. Act as if you can find 18 minutes in a day, in your day. My suggestion is that morning time frame. I've added it to my routine in the morning, and it's no technology, not even a phone, anything, and just sitting down and setting alarm on a clock and clicking start and just sitting in, asking God, praying, taking time to open my heart for the day and asking for my daily bread. What is it today? Surrendering my thoughts, having patience, having trust, taking gratitude, taking joy, having perspective, looking back at where I was 6 months ago, where I was 6 weeks ago, having discipline, getting back into my walk runs in the mornings or at the end of the day, just continually building those foundations and being consistent. So whatever you decide to do, let it be on purpose, for a purpose, and full of purpose. Because it only takes 18 minutes to start building that foundation, building that consistency, having discipline. And if you already have that in your faith journey, for some of us, we might still have some work to do in our own work, in our step work. Take this routine and add 18 minutes to your morning, remove something, and take 18 minutes to work on recovery, to work on your steps, to work on whatever that might be. But everything always turns and goes towards placing our hearts in the things that are above, setting our minds in the things that are above, building that firm foundation. I'm going to end my talk with a Bible verse that some of you have heard before. For those of you that have been in this group for a while, have heard a talk from me before. And it is from Lamentations 3, 21 through 24. Yet I still dare to hope when I remember this. The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies begin afresh each morning. I say to myself, the Lord is my inheritance. Therefore, I will hope in him. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I did forget to hit my timer as I went through this last night and early this morning. The time of this talk landed both times at 17 minutes. What was it? 17 minutes and 16 seconds. So close to that 18-minute time frame. I did forget to hit start on my thing, so I can't confirm that. But I thank you for your time. And I just continually press in. As Dr. Dave says, press in, lean forward. Put God first, and life goes best. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's have some discussion.